My dear friends, we live in a world where people believe that being attractive means how you look on the outside. The clothes, the smile, the pictures on social media. But true attraction happens from the inside out. A smart woman doesn't attract by showing more, she attracts by being more. And today, let's talk about the 5 things smart women refuse. Because by saying no to there was once a woman who kept watering a dead plant, thinking one day it would bloom again. Every morning she poured water, adjusted the pot, gave it sunlight. But nothing changed. Days passed, and the plant remained dry, lifeless, and still. One day her neighbor asked, "Why are you still watering something that's already dead?" She smiled and said, "Because I'm afraid to let it go." My dear friends, this story is not about a plant. It's about life. It's about the times we keep chasing people who no longer see our worth, giving love where love no longer lives, and hoping that something broken will suddenly fix itself. Smart women, however, learn something very powerful. They stop watering dead plants. They refuse to chase love that disrespects them. Because they understand one truth. You cannot make someone value you by proving your worth to them over and over again. Think about it. How many times have you sent that last message, hoping for a reply that never came? How many times have you stayed up at night, replaying conversations in your head, trying to understand what went wrong? How many times have you excused bad behavior, saying, "Maybe they're just busy," when deep down you knew they simply don't care enough? Chasing love that doesn't respect you is like running after a train that has already left the station. You might exhaust yourself, but you'll never reach it. Smart women don't run after what's moving away. They pause, breathe, and remind themselves, if this was truly mine, it wouldn't make me chase it. Respect is the foundation of love. Without respect, love becomes manipulation. Without mutual effort, love becomes one-sided begging. A woman who truly values herself understands that love is not supposed to make her feel anxious or unwanted. It's supposed to bring peace. When someone truly loves you, they will not confuse you. They will not disappear and return only when they need something. They will not make you question your worth every few days. Real love is not a guessing game. It's consistency, clarity, and care. There's a beautiful lesson from daily life. Think of sunlight. Sunlight never chases the earth. It just shines, and the earth turns towards it. In the same way, smart women don't chase, they glow. They radiate kindness, strength, and confidence. And those who are meant for them naturally come closer. So many women waste years of their precious lives trying to change someone who doesn't even want to change. They cry, plead, adjust, apologize, even when they did nothing wrong, just to hold on to a love that's slipping away. But a smart woman realizes that if love requires you to lose yourself, it's not love anymore. It's attachment. And attachment can become a prison if you're not careful. It takes courage to stop chasing. It takes strength to walk away from someone you still care about. But remember this: walking away doesn't mean you stopped loving them. It means you started loving yourself. Every time a woman decides to stop begging for the bare minimum, she writes a new chapter of her life. She discovers peace she forgot existed. She smiles again without checking her phone for validation. She looks in the mirror and sees not what she lost, but what she gained, her dignity. In our daily lives, we all meet people who are emotionally unavailable. They give you attention one day and silence the next. They say, I love you, but act like you're optional. They keep you waiting, hoping, guessing. Smart women notice the pattern, and instead of asking, why are they doing this? They ask, why am I accepting this? That's where transformation begins. Because chasing love that disrespects you is like standing in the rain without an umbrella, expecting the storm to stop just because you're drenched. The storm won't stop, but you can choose to step under shelter. When you stop chasing, you allow the universe to bring you something better. You show the world that your worth is not up for negotiation. You teach people how to treat you, not by your words, but by your boundaries. Some people might call you proud or distant. Let them. They don't understand that peace is louder than attention, that silence can be stronger than shouting, that distance can sometimes protect your heart more than closeness ever did. There's also a deeper truth. The people who truly value you will never make you chase them in the first place. They'll meet you halfway. They'll care enough to communicate. They'll stay even when things get hard. That's how you recognize real love. Not by how fast your heart beats, but by how calm it feels. A smart woman's calmness comes from knowing her worth. She doesn't measure her value by who chooses her. She measures it by how deeply she loves herself. She invests in her dreams, her goals, her happiness. She understands that love should be an addition to life, not a replacement for it. So the next time you feel tempted to chase someone who's pulling away, remember the dead plant. Stop watering what's already dry. Let it go. Use that same water, your time, energy, and kindness to nurture something that will truly grow your purpose, your peace, your self-respect. And one day, when someone comes who truly sees your worth, you won't need to chase them. Because real love doesn't run, it arrives and stays. So, to every woman listening, you are not meant to chase love. You are meant to attract it by being whole, peaceful, and proud of who you are. You are not a beggar at the door of affection. You are a garden waiting for the right season. When you stop chasing what's wrong for you, you make space for what's right for you. And that's when the most beautiful kind of love enters. One that doesn't demand you to run, but invites you to rest. Remember, the right person will never make you question your worth. They will remind you of it every single day. These things, they say yes to self, respect, peace, and power. There was once a young woman who worked in a small office. She was kind, hardworking, and full of dreams. Every day she gave her best, not only at work but also in her relationships. She believed in loyalty, in effort, in honesty. But over time, she started to notice something. No matter how much she gave, people didn't always value her. Her kindness was taken for granted, her efforts were expected, and her silence was mistaken for weakness. One day, while having coffee with a friend, she said, "Maybe I should lower my expectations. Maybe I'm asking for too much." Her friend smiled and replied, "You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people." And that's the truth. My dear friends, a smart woman never lowers her standards for temporary people, because every time she does, She loses a little piece of her peace. She forgets that her worth is not measured by how much she tolerates, but by how much she values herself. In life, there will always be people who try to convince you that your standards are too high. They'll say, be more flexible, don't be so demanding, just adjust. But the truth is, adjusting is beautiful when it's for growth, not for disrespect. Compromise is noble when it's mutual, not one-sided. A smart woman understands that she doesn't need to shrink herself to fit into someone's limited understanding of love. She knows that having standards is not arrogance, it's self-respect. She's not trying to be better than others. She's just refusing to accept less than what she deserves. Let's take a simple daily example. Imagine going to a restaurant and ordering your favorite meal. You pay for it, but the waiter brings you something else, something you never asked for. You politely tell him, "This isn't what I ordered." Now imagine he says, "Ma'am, just eat it. It's food, right? Would you accept it?" No, because you know what you asked for, you know what you paid for, you know what you deserve. In the same way, when it comes to love, respect, and life, you shouldn't accept whatever people choose to give you. You have every right to say, "This isn't what I deserve," because settling for less doesn't make you humble, it makes you unhappy. Sometimes loneliness feels heavy, but it's far lighter than the weight of staying where you're not valued. Loneliness teaches you patience, self-love, and inner strength. Settling teaches you regret. Smart women choose the former. They prefer peace over pressure, solitude over shallow connections, self-respect over fake affection. Many times women settle because they fear being alone. Society teaches them that having someone, anyone, is better than having no one. But that's not true. Being single is not a weakness, it's a stage where you learn who you are and what you truly need. The wrong relationship will drain you more than loneliness ever will. Think about it like this: if you keep buying cheap shoes because you don't want to wait for the quality pair, your feet will hurt. You'll waste money and time replacing what never fit. But if you wait, save, and invest in the right pair, you'll walk comfortably for years. That's what standards are: patience with purpose. Smart women know that people rise or fall to the standards you set. If you accept disrespect once, it will become a pattern. If you allow someone to half love you, they will never give you their all. Your energy teaches people how to treat you. So, if you keep forgiving carelessness, they'll stop caring. But if you stand firm with grace, they'll either rise to meet you or reveal that they never deserved you. A woman with standards is not difficult. She's disciplined. She knows what peace feels like, and she refuses to trade it for temporary excitement. She knows what real communication sounds like, and she refuses to settle for mind games and mixed signals. She knows that true love doesn't demand her to dim her light just so someone else can shine. In daily life, you might see her, that quiet woman sitting at a cafe, alone but peaceful. She's not waiting for anyone to join her. She's enjoying her own company. She doesn't chase attention because she's too busy chasing purpose. That's what real confidence looks like. Not loud but steady, not desperate but dignified. There's a misconception that people with high standards are cold or proud. But that's not true. They're simply aware. They've been through enough disappointment to understand that protecting their energy is an act of self love. They've learned that it's better to wait alone for something real than to waste time pretending with something fake. And when the right person comes along, someone who respects her, listens to her, and values her presence, she doesn't have to lower her standards. He naturally meets them. Because love built on respect doesn't need to be begged for. It flows naturally between two people who know their worth. A smart woman doesn't demand perfection, she desires effort. She doesn't look for someone flawless, she looks for someone consistent. She doesn't need luxury, she needs loyalty. She doesn't want attention, she wants intention. Every day, she reminds herself that her time is precious, her emotions are valuable, and her peace is sacred. She is willing to walk away from what doesn't align with her soul, not because she's heartless, but because she's learned the difference between being wanted and being valued. She knows that saying no to less opens the door for more. Every time she refuses to settle, she tells the world, I know what I bring to the table. And that kind of confidence, that inner calm, becomes magnetic. It attracts the right kind of people, the right kind of energy, and the right kind of love. So, to every woman listening, never feel guilty for expecting respect. Never apologize for your standards. The right people will never be intimidated by them. They'll be inspired by them. You don't have to chase, convince, or beg. Just keep growing, glowing, and knowing who you are. Because when you stand firm in your worth, you'll never have to lower your standards again. The right person will rise to meet them. There was a time when a young woman faced a series of disappointments in her life. She lost her job, her best friend stopped talking to her, and a person she loved deeply walked away without an explanation. She spent days crying, asking, why me? What did I do wrong? She waited for someone to come and make things better, but no one did. One morning, she looked at herself in the mirror, her eyes tired, her face dull, her heart heavy, and for the first time, she whispered, maybe it's time I help myself. That small sentence changed everything. Because that's the day she stopped being a victim and started being victorious. My dear friends, smart women don't play the victim. They rise from their pain, they learn from their struggles, and they turn their wounds into wisdom. Life may break them, but they refuse to stay broken. They understand that pain is not a punishment, it's preparation. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every failure teaches them something about their strength, their purpose, and their power. It's easy to feel sorry for yourself when things don't go your way. It's easy to blame the world, to blame people, or even to blame destiny. But what separates strong women from the rest is their ability to take responsibility, not for what happened, but for what happens next. They may not control every storm, but they can always choose how they sail through it. Let's think of an example we all see in daily life. Imagine you're driving and suddenly it starts raining heavily. You can't stop the rain, that's not in your hands. But what can you do? You can slow down, turn on your headlights, and keep driving carefully until the storm passes. That's exactly how life works. You can't stop problems, but you can decide how to respond to them. Victims complain about the rain, smart women learn to dance in it. Every time something painful happens, you're given two choices: to see yourself as powerless or to see yourself as capable. A smart woman always chooses the second option. When life hits her hard, she doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, she asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" That simple shift in thinking changes her entire life. There are women who have faced unimaginable pain, broken marriages, financial struggles, betrayal, loss, and yet they emerge stronger, calmer, and more compassionate. Why? Because they learn to turn pain into purpose. They use their suffering as a stepping stone instead of a stopping point. I once met a woman who started a small bakery after losing her corporate job. She told me, "At first, I was angry and embarrassed, but then I realized maybe this is life's way of redirecting me." Today, that bakery supports 10 other women and brings joy to hundreds of customers. That's what happens when you stop saying, "Poor me," and start saying, "Try me." Victim mentality keeps you trapped. It makes you believe that the world owes you something, that someone else is responsible for your happiness. But the truth is, no one can fix your life except you. People can support you, guide you, encourage you, but the decision to rise must come from within. When you play the victim, you give away your power. But when you own your story, you take it back. You stop waiting for an apology that might never come. You stop waiting for closure from people who hurt you. You stop waiting for the world to be fair. Instead, you build your own peace, your own purpose, your own future. Life is not meant to be fair, it's meant to be faced. The strongest women you'll ever meet are not the ones who never cried. They're the ones who wiped their tears, stood up, and kept moving forward. They didn't let pain define them, they let it refine them. Think about a butterfly. Before it becomes beautiful, it has to struggle inside the cocoon. That struggle is painful, but necessary. If you try to help the butterfly by breaking the cocoon, it never learns to fly. The pain gives it strength. The same goes for us. Our struggles shape us, stretch us, and make us soar higher. In everyday life, you can see this lesson everywhere. The woman who lost a loved one, but still finds reasons to smile. The mother who works 2 jobs, but never gives up on her children. The student who failed exams, but studies harder and rises again. They are not victims. They are warriors. They've learned that you don't have to be fearless to be strong. You just have to be determined. When you stop playing the victim, you also stop giving your past permission to control your present. You stop saying, "This happened to me," and start saying, "This happened for me." That doesn't mean you ignore your pain. It means you refuse to let it define your identity. Every person you admire has gone through something that could have broken them. But instead of complaining, they chose to change. They understood that failure is not falling down, it's refusing to get up. So, if life has hurt you, if people have betrayed you, if dreams have shattered, if you've been left alone, don't see yourself as a victim. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. Use that pain as power. Let it teach you compassion. Let it make you resilient. Let it show you what you're truly made of. The moment you stop saying, "I can't," life starts whispering, "Yes, you can." The moment you stop blaming others, you begin building yourself. The moment you stop waiting for someone to save you, you realize you were the hero all along. So, to every woman listening, you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a creator of your destiny. Don't sit and wait for someone to fix your story. Pick up the pen and write it yourself. Every chapter may not be perfect, but it will be yours. Remember, storms don't last forever, but the strength you gain from surviving them does. You might not be able to control what happens, but you can always control how you rise. And that, my dear friends, is what makes a woman truly smart. She refuses to play the victim and instead chooses to become the victor of her own life. There's a beautiful power in silence, in space, and in saying no. But many people, especially women with kind hearts, find it difficult to use that power. They confuse love with constant availability. They think being always there for everyone will make them more loved, more valued, more accepted. But the truth is, being available all the time doesn't earn respect. It often invites neglect. Smart women understand this truth deeply. They know that love is not proven by how quickly you reply to messages or how much you sacrifice your peace for someone else. It's shown in how balanced, grounded, and peaceful you are while loving others and yourself. Imagine a woman who is always the first to answer every call, every favor, every request. She never says no, even when she's exhausted. She listens to everyone's problems, but has no one to listen to hers. She gives, and gives. And one day, she feels completely drained. She looks around and realizes that the people she constantly helped don't even notice when she's struggling. Why? Because she taught them that her time and energy are always available. Smart women refuse to live like that. They understand that when you make yourself available for everyone, you eventually lose yourself. You become like an open book in a storm, pages flying everywhere, unread and unappreciated. They learn that it's not selfish to say no, it's necessary. It's an act of self-respect. There's a saying, people learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. If you constantly cancel your own plans, ignore your own needs, and allow everyone to interrupt your peace, you silently tell the world that your boundaries don't matter. But when you start protecting your time, when you say, I'll call you later, or I can't help right now, or I need some space, you're not being rude, you're being real. Think of a mobile phone battery. No matter how new or powerful your phone is, if you keep using it without recharging, it will die. You can't blame the phone for shutting down. It's simply out of energy. The same goes for people. If you keep giving without pausing to recharge your soul, you'll eventually burn out. Smart women realize this early. They take breaks, spend time alone, meditate, read, travel, and reflect. They don't apologize for it because they know you can't pour from an empty cup. In daily life, we often see women who associate love with sacrifice. They believe that if they're not constantly available, they'll lose the people they care about. But real love doesn't demand exhaustion, it respects balance. The people who truly value you will never make you feel guilty for taking time to rest, to grow, or to heal. A smart woman values her peace so much that she protects it like a treasure. She knows that overavailability leads to underappreciation. She knows that mystery, space, and silence make her presence more powerful. She doesn't feel the need to explain every move or share every detail of her life. She understands that privacy is power. There was once a young girl who loved texting her boyfriend all day, every day. She believed constant communication meant closeness. But over time, she noticed that her messages started being ignored, her calls went unanswered, and the excitement disappeared. One day, she decided to stop initiating conversations for a while. At first, it was hard, the silence felt strange, but soon she noticed something beautiful. She had more time for herself, her hobbies, her peace. And when she finally spoke again, her words had weight, her presence had meaning. That's what happens when you stop being constantly available. You remind people that your presence is not a right, it's a privilege. And only those who truly value it will make the effort to keep it. Being available all the time can also mean saying yes to things that don't serve your purpose, doing favors you don't want to do, attending events you dislike, or staying in conversations that drain your energy. But saying no is not rejection, it's redirection. It's choosing your sanity over social pressure. In your daily life, you might notice that the busiest, most successful women aren't always reachable, not because they're arrogant, but because they understand focus. They manage their time with discipline. They don't respond to every distraction, and they don't let guilt control their decisions. That's why their lives move forward, because they know when to pause, when to protect, and when to prioritize. There's a simple example. If a doctor is performing surgery, she doesn't answer every phone call. Why? Because she's focused on something important. In the same way, a smart woman knows that her life, her dreams, and her peace are her surgery, sacred, delicate, and deserving of full attention. She won't let interruptions ruin it. Being unavailable sometimes doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself too. It means you respect your time, your emotions, and your mental health. And those who truly love you will understand that. They won't demand constant access. They'll appreciate the moments you choose to give. When you create space, you also allow growth. You learn more about yourself, you reflect, you evolve. Silence becomes your teacher, solitude becomes your power. And when you return to the world after that quiet time, you return stronger, calmer, wiser. A smart woman's no is not cold, it's clear. Her absence doesn't mean indifference, it means alignment. She's not avoiding people, she's avoiding chaos. She's not hiding from love, she's choosing peace. And in that peace, she becomes more radiant, more grounded, more magnetic. People might not understand at first. They might call you distant, too private, or even selfish. But remember, those who misunderstand your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any. So, to every woman listening, stop thinking you need to be everywhere for everyone. Stop thinking love means answering every call, replying instantly, and sacrificing your peace for attention. Love means being present with intention, not out of obligation. It's okay to rest. It's okay to disconnect. It's okay to say, not today. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your power. And when you learn the art of distance, your presence becomes even more valuable. Smart women know being unavailable sometimes doesn't make you less loving, It makes you more respected. You don't need to prove your worth by your availability. You prove it by your energy, your authenticity, and your peace. And once you learn that, you'll never feel guilty for choosing yourself again. There's a deep difference between being noticed and being understood, between someone saying they love you and someone showing that they care, between someone who wants your attention for a moment and someone who wants your soul for a lifetime. A smart woman understands this difference. She refuses to settle for shallow connections. She doesn't crave loud attention. She seeks quiet affection. She doesn't want temporary excitement. She desires emotional depth. She knows that flowers fade, but respect and consistency never do. We live in a time where people confuse chemistry with connection, where a few good conversations and a handful of compliments feel like love. But love, real love, goes beyond butterflies and words. It's built in the small, consistent actions that make you feel safe, valued, and seen. It's not about finding someone who says all the right things. It's about finding someone who means them. Imagine a woman who keeps meeting people that seem charming at first. Sweet messages, constant attention, promises of forever. But after a while, the excitement fades. Messages become shorter, calls become rare, and the energy changes. She feels like she's the only one trying to keep the bond alive. It hurts, but then one day, she realizes something. She wasn't loved, she was entertained. And that realization, though painful, sets her free. Because from that day, she decides she will never settle for attention when what she truly deserves is affection. Attention is like a spark. It burns bright but dies quickly. Affection is like the sun. It rises every day, quietly but surely. Smart women understand this. They're not impressed by sweet words whispered at midnight. They're moved by consistent actions shown in daylight. They don't fall for promises of, "I'll always be here." They believe in people who actually stay when things get hard. In daily life, you'll often find people who show up only when it's convenient for them. They'll text when they're bored, call when they need something, or be nice when they want your attention. But when you need them, they vanish. Smart women see this pattern, and instead of chasing, they distance themselves. They understand that temporary people can't give permanent peace. They stop confusing emotional highs with emotional security. They stop mistaking effort for attachment. They stop believing that intensity equals intimacy. Because true connection isn't about how often someone says, "I miss you," but how they treat you when you're around. A real connection feels calm. It doesn't leave you guessing, doesn't make you anxious, doesn't play with your peace. It feels like home, steady, safe, and genuine. Smart women crave that kind of connection. They're not impressed by chaos disguised as passion. They want peace disguised as love. I once met a woman who told me something beautiful. She said, "When I was younger, I wanted a man who made my heart race. Now, I want a man who makes my heart rest." That sentence carries the wisdom of experience. It means she's learned that excitement fades, but emotional security stays. That attraction may bring you together, but understanding keeps you together. Smart women also understand that not everyone who touches your body deserves to touch your heart. Not everyone who listens to your words deserves to know your soul. So they guard their energy carefully. They share their emotions selectively because not every connection deserves depth. Some are meant to teach lessons, not build futures. They realize that love isn't about having someone who says, I love you 100 times. It's about having someone who shows it in quiet ways, remembering your little details, encouraging your dreams, comforting you when you doubt yourself. That's emotional connection, the invisible bond that makes two hearts feel safe, even in silence. Let's take a simple example from everyday life. Imagine you're walking home after a long, tiring day. One person sends you a text, good night. Another person meets you at the door with your favorite meal and says, I knew you'd be tired, so I cooked for you. Now, who truly connects with you? The one who thought of you enough to act. Real connection shows itself through care, not convenience. A smart woman doesn't need someone who tells her she's beautiful. She needs someone who sees her when she's broken. She doesn't want someone who only loves her laughter. She wants someone who can hold her through tears. She doesn't seek someone perfect. She seeks someone present. Because emotional depth is not about drama, it's about devotion. In a world of temporary emotions and short-term attention spans, a woman who seeks depth stands out. She doesn't fear solitude because she knows that shallow company can be lonelier than being alone. She enjoys her own company until someone arrives who adds peace to her life, not noise. She understands that love built on emotional connection doesn't fade when looks change or when distance grows. It stays because it was never built on appearance or proximity, but on mutual respect, honesty, and empathy. That kind of love doesn't need to be chased, it grows naturally. Sometimes people might say she's too picky, too emotional, or too hard to please, but that's not true. She's just learned that love should feel right, not rushed. She's learned that chemistry without compatibility is chaos, and she's learned that being understood is far more important than being adored. She has tasted emptiness that came from meaningless conversations and half-hearted relationships. Now she craves depth, deep talks, shared dreams, real connection. The kind where you can sit in silence and still feel heard. The kind where your soul feels at peace, not your ego fed. A smart woman knows her heart is sacred. She doesn't hand it over to anyone who knocks. She waits for the one who knocks with intention, with respect, and with care. She knows that love isn't found in perfect people, it's found in consistent ones. So, to every woman listening, never settle for attention when what you deserve is affection. Don't mistake flattery for effort. Don't confuse being wanted for being valued. Wait for the one who looks at you and sees more than beauty, someone who sees your soul. Because when you find a connection that nourishes your spirit, not just excites your mind, you'll understand that's the kind of love worth waiting for. The kind that doesn't drain you but fills you. The kind that doesn't fade because it's built not on attraction but on understanding. And once you experience that kind of emotional depth, you'll never settle for anything shallow again.